few years, that the more you respect context, the better your understanding gets.
Oh, is that so? So if we have to use context, how come sectarians are not good at using context in the Quran? We're going to follow hadith again, because context in the Quran will give you all you want. So why are you fooling yourselves with garbage books? And the books you said we should still go and learn the science of hadith again. Oh my God. What? Look, let me pause this video. Listen to Zakir Naik, how they have to classify if a hadith is authentic. Listen to Zakir Naik. Zakir Naik is going to tell you how they classify an hadith to be authentic. Listen carefully and think if this thing is easy.
There are basically 5 criteria for hadith to be sahih. Number 1, the narrator should be of a good character. Number 2, of good memory. Number 3, there should be continuity in the chain of narrator. The sanad should be there. Number 4, there should not be irregularities or flaws. Number 5, it should not contradict any other sound hadith. If all these 5 criteria are met, it is called a sahih hadith. If there is a slight flaw in any of these, then the hadith becomes hasan, but it is accepted. It is makbul.
Did you hear that? This is Zakir Naik telling you the classifications, the criteria in which they classify an hadith to be sahih. So you have to go through all this to learn how people brain working, how this, how that, before you come to the garbage book and examine this hadith. Which verse does he explain? Which verse? We don't know. Breastfeeding of adults, which verse does he explain? Stoning people to death, which verse does he explain in the Quran? Your prophet going to take 50 prayers from the sky, which verse does he explain? And when he went to take the 50 prayers, where are the raka'at? How many raka'at in one prayer? Why is it? According to you, your same hadith books, Sahih al-Bukhari 350, or is it 349 to 350? It tells us that Nana Aisha said when the prophet went to bring the salat, every salat has 2 raka'at. If it's 2, how did he become 2, 4, 4, 3, 4? How? You don't question your scholars. You just follow like a sheep and you think you are guided. That is exactly what the Quran does. Chapter 43, verse 36 to 37. God has assigned that devil to you and you are thinking you are guided when you are supposed to follow his words. When you go to a company to work, the boss gives you a contract. You sign the contract. He tells you your job, your duty. So you read it to know your duty. When you're doing it, you know that is based on the contract. Same as the Quran is the book of guidance for mankind. So when I'm doing something, I can cross-check from the words of God and do as it says. Whenever you are given a contract, when you read, it is based on what you understand from the contract is what you are going to do at the workplace. Yes. Based on what you have understood from it. Because on the day of judgment, this is what you are answerable for. Quran chapter 17, verse 36. Do not pursue that of which you have no knowledge. Indeed, the hearing, the eyesight, and the mind, all those will be held accountable. Right? So if they are answerable thereof, why are you fooling yourselves again? Take the words of God. We are not saying it's a must for you to understand everything from the book of God. No, at least the ones you know, practice it. Because when you go and meet God, you can answer for that. If you don't know, don't follow it. Yes, if you don't know something from the Quran, don't practice it. Just because babashuaib is doing it doesn't mean you have to do it. I know it, that's what I'm doing. Do you know it? If you don't know, why do you force yourself to practice what you don't know? You'll be classified as a sheep. Yes. You understand? So if you just listen to these scholars lying to you, telling you their whims and desires, look, to err is human. We can all err. But if we are guided, how can we know we are guided? It's by the words of God, because that is where you find guidance, not in the words of babashuaib or words of Nouman Ali Khan. I can tell you some words of wisdom based on the wisdom I've been given, but it doesn't mean my words are the final statement of God. So when I make a claim from the words of God, you have to scrutinize, examine the words, see if it resonates with your logic. Because at the end of the day, you are answerable, not me. I wouldn't answer for you. Quran chapter 33, verse 67. On the day of judgment, they will tell God, "Qalu Rabbana inna atana sadatana wa kubara'ana fadalluna sabila." They will say, they will tell God, "Indeed, we have obeyed our masters and our leaders, but they misled us from the way." You just obeyed like a sheep just because it is your leader. You didn't scrutinize, you didn't examine. What if your leader made a mistake? Hello? That is why Quran chapter 39 verse 18, "Allazina yastami'una al-qawla fayattabi'una ahsanahu." You follow the best of it. You listen to the word and follow the best thereof. Those are the ones God has guided. So at the end of the day, whose guidance are we following? Is it not guidance of God? Yes. Do you get my point? Aha. Follow what you understand from the words of God, so that when you stand in front of God, you can answer for that. At least it will not be somebody's opinion. Do you get my point? Good.
And the more disregarding you are of context, the more you just don't even acknowledge what did Allah say before, what did He say after. Even textual context. I'm not even saying historical context. Even textual context. If you pluck things out from the middle of
the Quran on its own has historical context. We have something we call Qasas. Chapter 28 means Suratul Qasas, chapter of the story. Right? Quran gives you story. For instance, chapter 12, you read, it is the story of Joseph. It is called Qasas. It's a story. Right? So when we say his story or he story, it's about story. That's why we go back to history to check and see the story of something. History is somebody's point of view. So why don't you take God's point of view? That is why the chapter 12 of Surah of Joseph, God says this is not a fabricated hadith, because God knows hadith is a narration. Yes, Quran chapter 93 verse 11, God says, فَأَمَّا بِنِيمَةِ رَبِّكَ فَحَدِّثْ. As for the favor of your Lord, you have to narrate it. Yes, so narration is the hadith. So God knows people will be narrating falsified stories, false stories out there. And He told you the story of Joseph. It is not a fabricated hadith. Quran chapter 12 verse 111. Yes. So who else can tell you the truth more than God? Who is more truthful than God in hadith? Waman asdaqu minallahi haditha. Who is more truthful than God? So you rather want to follow people's opinions, assumptions, whatever. What? What are the sectarians telling you? They say when you die and you are in the grave, according to them, they told you the angels will ask you, Man Rabbuka, who is your Lord? Ma dinika, what is your religion? Man Nabiyuka, who is your prophet? Ma Kitabaka, what is your book? Why don't you say Quran and Sunnah? Bozos. The hadith, your hadith books are telling you will say the Quran. Why don't you go and tell the angel the Quran and Sunnah? Shurikan Banza.